In this video, I'm going to go over the process of designing the folder structure for the feature definitions, symbologies, and element templates for nodes. So here I have a spreadsheet where I filled out all of the feature definitions I'm going to have for the nodes. And then additionally, I've gone through and included a path for all of the feature definitions, symbologies, and element templates. I want to start with the feature definitions. When we're developing this path, it's going to be helpful to have a session of OpenRoads open. So I'm going to go into OpenRoads. I'm just inside of the delivered workspace right now. And so when I want to look at what the feature definition path is going to be, the first path is going to be node. And then if we're thinking drainage, we're going to have stormwater node. And then beyond that, we can customize the folder structure however we want. But we do have to start with node and stormwater node. So I have that listed here in column C, and then from there I'm going to group my features together in a way that makes sense. So I'm going to have all of my inlets together, and I'm going to have all of my manholes, all of the head walls and outfalls and cross sections. Now beyond that, we might want to have some folders beyond that structure. So in the case of inlets, I'm going to have a large list of inlets. So I want to break those into type B. Here I have some inlets in type C or D, L, M, and S. And same thing with conduits and drainage areas. We just want to keep somewhere between 10 and 20 feature definitions per folder. The way I've handled my existing features is I have just created one existing folder that is going to hold all of the existing inlets, the existing manholes, and also the existing head walls and outfalls. All are going to be contained within one folder. And I'm doing that because I don't have as many existing features. So I can group all of those in one single folder. But as you build that out, you'll consider adding additional folders and maybe changing your structure up a little bit. So knowing that ahead of time could be helpful, because that might make you decide instead to have a proposed and an existing folder. So that would be the beginning of your structure. So once you have your feature definition path built out, we're going to apply that to the symbologies. All right, so let me go back to my feature definitions here, and I'll take a look at an inlet first. So here I have a point feature symbology, a connection region symbology, and a solid feature symbology. And that's going to be the case for all of my nodes. So we'll look at point first. As far as the naming goes, this point is going to be the plan representation of that feature. So if we want to have a separate plan cell for each one of those different types of structures, you're going to have a separate point symbology. If you want to have more of a generic representation in plan, instead you could have just one point symbology for the different types, or maybe just one for all of the inlets in general. And you would not need to create as many symbologies, and then those would all just be assigned to the corresponding feature definition. Alright, so moving over to the connection region symbology. In this case, I've just created one symbology to be used for all of the different types of inlets, as there's really not a need to have different symbologies between those. And you could even go further than this. You could have one connection region symbology that you use for all of your drainage nodes. Really the only point to this is going to control the plan representation of those connection rings or shapes, so that you can see where you're going to be connecting the conduits to. And typically, if we go inside of the element template that's pointed to in these symbologies, it's going to be defining an element that's going to be on a construction class and on some sort of draft level. And then the third symbology is going to be our solid symbology. And you're almost always going to have a separate solid symbology for each feature definition, since we want to have a different 3D representation of each one of those.